Hey guys, this is Richard from Android Central, and today we're taking a quick look at the first Intel-powered Android smartphone to launch in Europe. This is the Orange San Diego, which is now on sale in the UK, retailing at just under £200 on pay-as-you-go. It will also be launching in France in the not too distant future, most likely under a different name. So we're going to jump straight in, have a look at the hardware. On the face of it, it's a pretty unassuming Android device. It runs Gingerbread 2.3. Yes, no ice cream sandwich, but this is the direction that Intel have decided to go in. This is basically a pure, it's out and out an Intel phone. Orange have had some input, but this is basically as Intel wanted to do this. So, jumping in to the hardware. The back of the phone is plastic, no fancy polycarbonates here, but it is coated in a nice soft touch finish, so it feels pretty good in the hand. With an 8 megapixel rear camera with an LED flash, of course proudly bearing the Intel Inside branding. Orange and Intel are both going to market the daylights out of this phone. It's going to be Orange's first own brand phone that comes with television advertising, and of course with the Intel Inside branding, it's a brand everybody is synonymous with, everybody knows it, so they're pushing it really, really hard. Looking at the hardware, taking a look at the bottom of the phone, it's a standard micro USB charging port, and it has two speakers, one either side of the charging port, and they're pretty loud. Obviously phone speakers are never particularly good quality, but they are plenty loud enough on the San Diego. Flipping up to the top, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, on-off switch. Taking a look at the sides, you'll notice it is pretty thin. It's also very, very light, feels very light in the hand. It is, as I've said, plastic, but nonetheless it is a thin phone. We have the volume rocker, we have a micro SIM tray on the exterior of the phone, and we also have a dedicated camera button. Now this is something I'm quite a big fan of. I do like having a dedicated camera button. I do use my phone quite a lot as a camera, so this is definitely something I like. On the other side we have the HDMI out socket. On the front it's a 4.03 inch touchscreen display. We have the capacitive Gingerbread buttons at the bottom. We also have a front facing camera at the top. The resolution of the screen is somewhat odd. It's 1024 by 600, which is slightly peculiar, but it is a very nice looking display anyway, especially considering the price point of this device. So we'll turn it on, we'll take a quick look at the software, because hardware is not necessarily where it's at for Intel. So it's running a 1.6 gigahertz single core Intel Atom processor. We first saw this of course at CES in Las Vegas in January, and Intel have been making some big claims about this in terms of performance and battery life, and that's something obviously we're going to try and get to the bottom of over the course of the next week or so. So the first thing to notice, it's a pretty quick boot up time. Haven't timed it exactly yet, but it's roughly around about the 20-second mark from pressing the on-off button to it being on the lock screen. So we'll take a look at the software. So as we've said, it's running Gingerbread, which is a disappointment to some, but at the same time it's Intel's tweaked version of Gingerbread. And the first thing to note is it is so smooth, it's very quick, very fluid, flicking through everything. This is not a slow phone, people. Single core does not mean worse. Definitely not in this instant. Orange have had some input in the software. They've basically overlaid their own custom interface, but it is pretty minimal. It's very orange, which I've tried to remove here by removing all the orange wallpapers, but all the icons are orange, the wallpapers, a lot of them are orange, the clock is orange. Everything is orange, as you possibly would expect from an orange device, but otherwise it's pretty much stock Gingerbread. And you'll notice just from having a quick look through the app drawer how smooth it is, how quick it is. This is effectively a budget phone, and it's so quick and so nice to use. While we're in the app drawer, we'll take a quick look at some of the preloaded applications. Orange have changed all the icons, but these are basically stock browser, stock calendar, stock contacts. See, the Google apps are preloaded. We might as well take a quick look at Flipboard, the beta version, while I'm here. This works really nicely. It's very smooth again. This just indicates, if nothing else, how good this phone really is when you're flicking through things. But it does work. So if anybody from Flipboard's watching, your app definitely works on an Intel phone. We have double twist preloaded as well, which is quite a nice addition. Obviously you will need to still fork out for the premium AirSync option if you want to use it that way, but the app is preloaded. Google Maps, pretty much all the Google applications are here as you would expect. Quick Office Lite, obviously now Google owned. And Orange have thrown a couple of their own apps on the Orange Wednesdays application and the Your Orange account, but it is relatively bloatware free. The additional applications which Orange have had preloaded on here, they're pretty good applications. The likes of Double Twist and Daily Motion, they're useful applications, so it's not too bad. There is a nice addition which we haven't looked at yet and which will be getting mentioned in the review. Navigon satellite navigation, which I haven't set up, but Navigon full satellite navigation has been preloaded free of charge. Now this retails for around £40 in the Play Store in the UK, so if it works as well as we hope it does, then that's a pretty good free application to get. So we'll dive into the settings. As we mentioned, it is running Gingerbread, but we are at least running the latest version of Gingerbread, 2.3.7, and again, just take a quick look just how smooth and how fluid it is when you're flicking through some of these menus. It's hard to believe that this is in the same price point as something like the Motorola Moto Lux, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. The performance difference is night and day, and for the same price, it's a no-brainer. Just take a quick look at the browser. It is the stock Android browser that's preloaded, but we'll load up Android Central. We are on Wi-Fi at the moment, so that does help, but it's really quick to load, and when it does load, come on, just finish off. We've got enough to take a look at anyway. It's pretty quick at scrolling through. Browsing is not an issue on this phone. Pinch to zoom works really quickly. Everything renders well. It is really, really quick. Intel obviously showed off the browsing capabilities at CES on the hardware on the prototype device, but so far I'm impressed with it. We're going to run it in a couple of tests in terms of user experience alongside the HTC One X, which obviously is a quad-core Tegra 3 phone, just to get a feel for comparable user experience. This device costs more than half the price of the One X in the UK, and without the benefits of Ice Cream Sandwich, this is so far shaping up to offer a comparable user experience in a lot of everyday tasks which the average consumer is going to use. It may not meet some of the requirements for power users, and we're going to test it out with a couple of high-end games. I've downloaded Grand Theft Auto 3 to try it out on, see what happens there. But over the next week or so, we'll be getting the full review up and just seeing what all this Intel business is about and whether or not it's the real deal. Thanks for watching.